welcome back from New York.
Yeah, thank you.
How was it, by the way? You have a good time?
It was really good, actually. Yeah.
Good.
Saw a lot of family that I haven't seen in a while. I got to see my niece, who's now way too old. It's just not fair. It's not fair. She's quite literally in the same position now that I was in when she was born. And it's a weird way to look at it. I'm like, I was like the same age as you. And now you're with your niece. And God damn it, what the hell? Fuck you, time.
You old.
Time is a cruel mistress.
Yes.
Yeah, so had some fun. So had plenty of laughs, had plenty of drink. Lots of drink. Because that's what you do when you visit family.
Mm-hmm.
Had to have some real New York pizza and wings.
Oh.
Because that's what everybody wanted to eat. I'm like, isn't this what you always eat?
I can't remember. I've definitely had pizza in New York, but I can't remember what that's like. So I'll have to go back.
Well, everyone was asking me about like chicken wings. And I'm like, what about chicken wings? They're like, have you seen if they gotten really expensive? Like, I don't know. I don't really eat chicken wings that often in Texas. Yeah. And I'm like, there's wing places like Wingstop and Buffalo Wild Wings, but I don't frequent them often. Whereas on the inverse in New York, every other restaurant on the corner is a mom and pop pizzeria, and their main foods is pizza and chicken wings.
Oh,
I want to make this controversial then. Which one's the best?
Which wait, like pizza versus chicken wings?
Pizza and chicken
wings?
No,
which pizza place in New York?
Oh, I see.
Oh, well, they all know who's the best. They are, because they all have that sign saying the best in their window.
Oh, yeah, the best pizza in New York.
Best pizza in New York. You know, the number one pizza, the number one chicken wing.
What's great about like American, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, what's great about American marketing is that you can call out your competitor. McDonald's better than Wendy's. Like, you're not allowed to do that here in Ireland. It's against the law.
Really?
Yeah. You can't do that here. No. You can't like
even guerrilla marketing is really frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just here like the sign wars thing? Have you seen that?
Yeah, with the guys that flipping signs and stuff.
No. The way like so places will have their signs up, and then underneath it'll have like their specials or whatnot. But now they like will target their signs at other restaurants that are in the neighborhood, and like call each other out and stuff.
That's definitely an American thing. That's not in Ireland or the UK.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as chicken wings go, there was a place there in New York that I used to go to called the Italian Chef, and they had really good grilled wings that were like really yummy, and like they had that char on them, so they were a little extra crispy, which is nice. That place was closed when I went back though, and I was like, oh. They also had my favorite chicken wing pizza, which is pizza with chicken wings on. Which
I was actually gonna say, I was like, if they sell
bones and all,
and
because
pizza,
that would be just pain in the ass.
No, it would be very difficult to eat.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind trying chicken wing pizza though. That sounds good.
So good. I'll make it.
Nice. So will you ship that to Ireland, or are we coming to Texas? Like, what's happening there?
Whichever happens first. Like, I come here, you come here. I mean, since we're doing the Replayer podcast, and we have Adam joining us back for the first time, welcome everybody to the Replayer podcast.
Hello.
And
hi,
Anthony.
Hello.
Adam is super stoked to be here. I can tell.
Absolutely.
Adam is very stoic sometimes, though. I feel like you're very happy, but you're just more like a
happy on the inside.
This is why this is why Adam and I have a bromance on the internet.
That's the truth of it. Yeah.
Because we both have that like. This is so
exciting.
See? Like this
I am so
riveting.
fucking happy right now.
This is
over the moon.
Yeah.
So excited.
Do you have the problem that I have where people will look at you and be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?"
Yeah. What's
and
wrong?
You're just
Are you
like,
okay?
Nothing. This is my face.
Yeah. Are you okay? What are you asking me?
Are you all right? Do you need help with something?
You have that problem where you're trusted in a crisis.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is so
What are you talking about? I'm absolutely freaking out right now.
Yeah.
I literally, every time I'm on a plane, if it's an option, I get asked to sit in the emergency exit row. And I never say no.
Because you're also tall. You're also very tall.
Yeah. I mean, it's partly because I'm tall, but
I think that's probably more the reason.
Yeah. But I won't complain because the last flight I had, I was flying from Charlotte to Texas, to Houston, and I got sat down next to this extremely witty old woman. I will shout her out. I wish I got your name. She was hilarious. I sat next to her a whole 5 minutes maybe. And then they asked me if I wanted to move to the emergency exit row. But she was like, would you mind if I sit on the end? Because our seat arrangement had her at the window, me in the middle. And she said, if nobody else sits on the end, can we switch? I said, absolutely, no problem. And then they sat us another woman next to us who was twice as wide as me and her put together.
Okay.
And she literally goes, well, there goes that plan. And then she goes, it's all right. Once we get to our destination, they'll just have to mop this aisle. And I was like, oh.
Oh my God.
And I looked down and I was like, they probably shouldn't use carpet then.
Oh my God.
I kind of felt bad though. They came over and they're like, do you want to go to the emergency exit row? And I was like, yeah, sure. No problem. I have no problem with that. And it's always, the emergency exit row is always a little bigger, which is good for me because I'm
extra leg room.
6'2" and I never have extra leg room. I actually had the whole row to myself.
Nice.
It was great.
Dope.
Yeah. In Ireland, when we're flying to England from Ireland, you have to pay for your seats. So you pay for your seats, and then if you want like up front so that you can get off quicker, that's an extra price. And if you want extra leg room, which is closer to the wings or actually on the wings, then that's an extra price. And I'm like, man, if I can just put us anywhere, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
It's the same way.
And it was just random selection.
I usually do random, except for like when I look and I know it's a small plane, I try to go for the ones that are at the front because I know they're going to have extra leg room, unless it's like you have to pay an extra $50 for the seat. And then I'm like, yeah. Yes.
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm the stingiest person when I travel, though. I'm like, I'm not paying extra for a seat here. Like, I'll just sit in the middle. I don't care.
It's basically comes down to do I want to pay the $50 or do I want to fly with my knees pressed up against the seat in front of me and possibly break my shins whenever the plane gets turbulence?
Well. Yeah. It depends on how long your flight is as well. Like for us, a flight to England's like 40 minutes. So
yeah, that's
if you're going to somewhere else, different story.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I guess the concern is that if you go random and then you end up being the pilot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hate that. Worst.
I would just be like, let me take a quick moment to review my Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'll be good to go.
Be like, that's great. 80 hours of flight simulation coming at you. Let's go.
Where's the start button?
Close the doors, Tracy. This is happening.
I knew this was on my CV for a reason.
All right. So welcome to the Replayer Podcast, everybody. We already kind of did that, but tangents, I've been gone. I missed last week's episode of the podcast because I was visiting New York for the first time since the wonderful COVID took over everything. And I got to see a lot of my family and listen to my grandmother repeat the COVID, because of the COVID. Every time, the COVID.
She sounds Irish.
That's what she said. But catch me up. What did I miss?
Oh my God, absolutely everything and nothing at the same time.
Sweet.
No, myself and Erica and Maria had a great time discussing State of Play and several other tangents that were actually more like, they were definitely female topics.
Female orientated.
I mean. Yeah, and that's not like, I'm not trying to come out to be like, oh, we can only have those conversations. It's more just like, how did we get here? Like, how did we end up on a penis discussion? Like, how did this happen?
I have cut conversations about makeup from the podcast before, so.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. No, it was great. It was a good time with Eric and Maria, and thank them for joining me while I was flying solo.
Woo.
I know. And then everything got uploaded on time and stuff, and I was very proud of myself.
Good job.
Thank you.
And then we had the wonderful Anthony wanted to return to the show and join us again. Thank you for coming back, Anthony. It's been too long.
Thank you for having me back.
Adam decided to grace us with his face.
This was real last minute. We went on a walk and we started talking about the Steam Deck, and I was like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? And he's like,
Yeah, I kind of went on a bit of a rant about it. Well, not a rant as much as it was just like, it's such an interesting, out of the blue kind of product.
I need to hear this. I need to hear this rant. I want to know.
Go for it.
So let's get into that. We'll talk about the Steam Deck, which anyone who's listening who hasn't heard, Steam, the PC gaming distributor industry that is one of the biggest, gaming services out there, they decided to make their own Nintendo Switch, essentially.
Kind of.
So it's a computer in a handheld device that looks like a Switch, but it has some extra fancy bells and whistles. And I want to hear what you got to say about this, Adam.
About the Steam, yeah, I suppose it's been online. It's been very positive, hasn't it, about the Steam Deck? Probably because I would love to have known when, like, if this came out or was announced at a different time, what would the reception be? Like the perfect timing of it because of the Switch OLED model, right? Yeah. And just the backlash of that, like that's just the perfect moment for them to announce this. And I'm wondering, did they jump ahead a little bit? Like, was it initially planned for now? Because I do have questions around the product. I don't know if once it gets into reviewers' hands, I think all those will be addressed. It's such a missed opportunity for Nintendo, I think. And I think out of all the companies, those are the ones that should be shaking a little bit. Because with Valve themselves, I think Gabe was even saying that it's not that they're looking to ship hundreds of these units, right? They're kind of in a position where if you buy one, great. They're just wanting to push that market a bit. It's like the hoping that other PC manufacturers might jump in on this particular product category, and because they just want to sell more Steam games. Because I imagine Game Pass coming up around behind them and stuff is that it may be shaking them in the boots a little bit.
I wouldn't imagine if it's Epic too putting pressure on them.
That too, yeah. I mean, it's coming from all fronts. And then there's rumors of Netflix wanting to get involved in gaming.
Yeah,
Amazon. It's just everywhere, right? Yeah. Just all these kind of gaming providers. So I think they're just looking at, okay, so how can we sell more Steam games? Well, if we have a new product, it influences other companies to get in on that. I suppose my only concern would it be, because I've seen a couple of comments, people been like, if I got this and I can install like Game Pass on it, then this is the ultimate machine.
Yeah, right.
Because it's just taken on the go.
Just doing like the PC version of Game Pass.
Right. So my question is like, how easy is that considering it runs Steam OS? It's not Windows.
You can install Windows.
So far it seems to be theoretically you can install Windows because it's a PC, but it's not built for it.
In an interview with Valve, the creators of the Steam Deck, they said that if you want to, you can actually wipe the Steam Deck and install Windows.
Install Windows on it.
Yeah.
So my question would be around the battery life with this thing. Is that the current battery sounds to be somewhere within the ballpark of the Switch. But they were saying they were getting maybe 4 hours with like Portal 2.
Yeah.
That's not great.
I want to know what it runs like Red Dead 2 on it. That's what I want to know. What's the battery with that? So if, this is a their operating system that's built around this purely gaming machine. If you put Windows on that, I don't know what that battery is going to be. I'm sure docked it'll be totally fine, but that defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how that ends up review-wise.
It will be interesting to see what modders do with that thing once they get their hands on it.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's got a lot of interesting capabilities on it. Like it has like your cloud-based gaming, so when you're on Steam and you're playing, you can just pick it up from where you left off on your computer, etc. I think it is very fascinating. Like you can download and you can install Windows. It's recommended that you don't, because they're like, look, the Steam OS that's on it at the moment works really well. It's great for your service and everything like that. Like there wouldn't be any need for you to download Windows, but you can.
And I'm sure
that's a cool capability that you could just be like, all right, because it's a mini PC. It's literally a mini PC. You can add any peripherals that you can attach any of the peripherals that you want to. You can install whatever you want on it, basically. So I think that is interesting, and I think I'm more of a console gamer primarily. I did build my PC to get some more PC games experience and stuff. So I like that, but I do like the Switch. I still have it here behind me. And I enjoy the Switch, but like this opens up a lot of things for us now. You know, like playing Resident Evil 8, for example. I mean, Anthony, I'm sure like you're a console gamer as well. Anthony, would you appreciate having something like this? Do you own a Switch at all? Do you have that kind of console with you? Do you have a handheld?
No, I currently just have the Xbox and the PlayStation. But it's kind of incredible, isn't it, where the technology's going? That you can have, I believe you can have access to your entire Steam library. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The whole Steam library.
So, I mean, my Steam library consists of like Jade Empire and Pokemon the inventory. So
Jade Empire, a classic Microsoft game.
Wow. Just the idea of like the Steam library is incredible. I daren't imagine how many games are available on there, and just having access to all that on the go. That's kind of incredible, right?
And that's exactly my point that I made to Adam earlier, is that I think this is such a great idea as well for people who like portable devices, especially like the Switch. You're now going to be opened up to a lot of like indie developers as well that have made games for Steam that are really easily accessible on a PC. But if you don't have a PC, or if you're not a PC gamer, then you wouldn't have been exposed to those before. So I feel like this opens up a lot for indie developers that are developing for PC and that are not developing for Switch or handhelds. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's the market for it, really. It's kind of like, or even with the Switch, for example, like the Switch is able to play some titles that you would think would never be on the Switch, Doom Eternal, Witcher 3, for example. But realistically, the Switch can't play those games.
Right.
If you think about it. The draw distance, the frame rate, just the overall, it's just not a great experience. You're paying more for that title on that platform than you are. So I think realistically, it will be more for the indie type games, in order for the battery life to be able to sustain. You're not going to play Cyberpunk on this thing, for example.
I don't know. I would love to see what it does with Cyberpunk or Witcher 3, because like you said, you have those issues with that on the Switch.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now, like, what this will look like. Like, what will Witcher 3 and what Cyberpunk potentially would look like on this handheld?
Yeah, I mean, you could do kind of the math, I guess, because it's like 1.4 teraflops of GPU power. So that puts it in the ballpark of an Xbox One
Yes,
or a
right.
PS4, baseline PS4.
Yeah, and they said that they worked with AMD, right, to develop the chip technology for specifically as a mobile platform. So, maybe they found something, maybe they got some sort of secret sauce going on there that enables them to get a lot of raw power out of a mobile, they call it an APU,
And they have I think it has shares some of the architecture from the series consoles as well, because it's RDNA 2, I think. So it will definitely perform really, really well. The issue is battery, right? Because I'm thinking about like our phones and tablets, for example. We like, they're way more powerful than the likes of the Switch. But the types of games you can get on your phone are like, I mean, Call of Duty Mobile is probably the most intense game. It's not the best looking, but it's still pretty good. But it has the potential to stretch and give us better gaming performances. It's the battery that's holding it back, in order to get decent battery life out of it. So that's the main thing. Like, so I think docked and everything is going to have no issues, but I think for the on the go type of gaming, you're probably looking more indie style games.
It also could be more the, on the contrary, like I just traveled, I brought my laptop with me. My gaming laptop is a beast. It plays most everything I try to run on it. But if I unplug that thing, it's dead in an hour, 2 hours, depending on what I'm playing. Right. So it's like, is it going to have that same struggle, or are they going to look at it like, I have a gaming laptop, but I pretty much keep it plugged in at all times. So even though it's something on the go, it might be the kind of thing like, sure, I'm traveling, but I'm going to need like a juice box, a power box to go with me, or I'm going to need a USB plug somewhere to plug in and keep it charged up while I'm playing. Granted, that's still a great experience that you can, be at an airport, as you're waiting for a plane, and you're sitting there jamming out on your Steam games while you're, waiting, or you get on the plane now, and most planes have power outlets and you can do your thing. And it's a much more compact package than my massive laptop. I can barely fit, in the seat with me. So there's that at least.
Yeah, absolutely. like I think it's fantastic that this kind of product is coming along. Again, it's really to give Nintendo a kick up the arse, and it's to get other companies into this market as well. I mean, this is the greatest thing about gaming, is that like you can never predict what type of platform we're going to be playing on.
Yeah.
What form it's going to come in. Like, is the future now this type of thing, or is this the cloud streaming? Like, we just don't know. We don't know what the future is going to be, but it's just constantly changing, and it's interesting to see how these companies react. But I think Nintendo should seriously.
The funny thing about Nintendo is how
this.
they just always kind of go by the beat of their own drum, and it's hard to pressure them to do much of anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I wanted to mention, like, you brought up Xbox and Game Pass and that, and the cool, unique thing to me, at least with Xbox and Game Pass for the xCloud and the streaming, is it's the opposite, where they have the ability, like, because it's streaming, you don't have to worry about power to battery life. What you have to worry about is internet speed and structure, Wi-Fi stability. And the beauty of the xCloud gaming is that you can have all the power in the world, so you can play, the biggest games possible on the smallest screen possible, and all you need is your Xbox controller and a phone or a tablet, and the battery is not much of an issue. You don't have to worry about those things, but then you have to worry about Wi-Fi connection, because even I did it when I was at the airport. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try giving some cloud gaming a test while I'm at the airport. I brought my Xbox controller with me, synced it up to my phone, I loaded up Minecraft Dungeons, and I played it for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It had a bit of lag, but this is on airport Wi-Fi too. But I was able to like actually play it, and I was impressive. Like, this is pretty cool. I think this is awesome, and I like what Xbox is doing in that department. They're really hammering the play anywhere, play on any device, wherever it's most suitable for you and most comfortable. And that was
I like their approach. Yeah,
I was going to say to another point you made earlier, Adam. You talked about Valve being open-ended as far as what they're doing with this, and that's something it might, like, you guys were questioning, well, what if somebody puts Windows on it, what if they do that? And it's like, honestly, I appreciate and I give respect to Valve for saying you can do those things. That's fine, because that's what Xbox is doing too. They're like, we don't care, but you just play, just enjoy. And I think that's the way forward, because to me that speaks volumes when a company is just like, yeah, we just want you to be able to play in the best way possible.
If you're really approachable and I suppose what we would say sound, people want to hang out with you.
Sound.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think you're right. I think like the customability of the item like itself, where you can just be like, nah, you know what, I'm actually gonna install my own like software, I'm gonna install Windows instead, etc. Like, I think that is pretty admirable, because you're just giving them like a handheld PC. But I think it's great. I think like there is like a credit or an image credit of them playing Stardew Valley in like one of their like promotional photos, and I'm like, but that's on the Switch. I'm like, could you not have picked a PC game to market your PC
Stardew Valley found its fame on Steam, though.
True, I do know that. But it is available on like Nintendo as well. But then could be performing differently as well.
Do you think that's also? Do you think it's deliberate, as in the if you own this on Steam, then you have it. You know what I mean? You don't have to.
True.
It's not exclusive to Switch on the handheld now. You can have it for us.
That's true. That's true. You can, like, because now that I have it on my PC, if I got this Steam Deck, I can just pick it up and play it. I think that's pretty cool. I like
it's really
it.
interesting that they decided to do this, because normally what happens is when new consoles come out, everyone's chit-chatting about the new consoles and everyone's buying them and playing them for a while. But 3 years into a console life cycle, a lot of people tend to start switching over to the PC because it's a lot more capable. So the fact that they've decided to come in here and go into somewhat console style territory is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And this isn't their first attempt either. I mean, this would be their second or third attempt into getting into console.
Because they had the Steam controller that was supposed to pair with big screen mode. That was supposed to be an app that like you could run on your TV. and then you pair the controller with it, and like that did not do well. Like it's obviously like Pagan's like, huh? Like, you know, like
I've never heard of that. I've actually never
To
heard
be
of
honest,
Steam
even if you
controller.
saw it, you'd still be like, what? It's the most unusual looking controller.
It looked like an Xbox controller that they removed the thumbsticks off, and then they put on like touch sensor pads.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing about the Steam Deck. It's going to have both actual analog sticks and touch pads, and then
which
the
I think
screen
is
itself
smart.
is touch screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It is very interesting. The design itself seems very interesting. Oh yeah, okay.
Because that was my first thought when I saw it too, is how is it going to play PC centric games? And then it was like, oh, touchpads. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
That is a really interesting design. Huh.
I don't know why there's different versions of it though. Like,
is it memory or?
Yeah, but it's got an expandable SD card slot. So why?
Yeah, I think the
why one with bigger memory?
The next one up, it's starting to go into the NVMe style.
It's different type
SSD.
of memory, right?
Yes, it's faster.
Yeah, so that's
like your games will load faster, and I think that's really it. But I agree. I would if I was going for, I'd absolutely go for the baseline and just
buy like a giant SD card in there.
Which is currently $399 for 64 gigabyte version, and the shipping starts in December, and you can place a $5 deposit on it now on Steam, which is currently crashing.
By clicking the link
Steam
here
right now.
Yeah, right.
But their highest model is $649 for 512 gigabyte version.
And that's also the much faster version of the memory that's installed too.
Yes, that's right.
So that it would perform better, ideally.
Better, yeah.
That's loading anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, for a freaking handheld PC, that's great. That is such good pricing.
Yeah, it's insane to get a PC down to that size, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that blows my mind.
I can't wait to see the inevitable
Linus
teardowns.
Boys. yeah, I was thinking the same
that
thing.
Come out.
Can't wait
seeing
for
how
Linus
the fan works, and
they take it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any issues? What's the iFixit repair score on that thing?
Do they also drop things out of planes to see how far you can drop it?
No, well, the stuff we watch don't.
I remember seeing a video of that with the Switch when the Switch came out. People were like, "How far can we drop this?" And it started with from a chair to a ladder to a building, and then they were like flying over an airfield with a plane and dropping it straight down, and it obviously it explodes when it hits the ground.
Oh my god!
They're like, "Well, it didn't make that."
Oh my god! Kills me.
I always feel so sad for the people who are waiting to get their hands on one of those things, and they're being sold out by these people smashing them on YouTube.
Smashing them, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sickening.
Yeah, those are great. People like blowing things apart on YouTube when other people can't even get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if would you guys get this? I mean, let me start with Anthony. Would you buy this?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not at the minute, just because of the fact that I don't. If I had an impressive Steam library already that I'd been building over the years, then absolutely. But I've kind of stayed away from PC gaming, I've not really got that back catalog immediately available.
Do you not think though that this would now open you up to playing more PC games because it would be handheld, so you'd have it more easily accessible to you, and you could then buy those Steam games the same way that you'd buy your console games now? I mean, obviously not with Game Pass, because Game Pass is your subscription service, but for PlayStation, for example, you would still have to buy your games, right? So would you think that this could potentially open you up, or you're not interested potentially in
it certainly seems like a better way to go forward. It's just technology scares me.
Fair enough. That is, that's fine.
But no, it certainly seems to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it really helps set the trend going forward.
Okay.
I would love to see Nintendo backpedal and be like, "Oh, hang on a second, like, and then here's the new Switch Pro model."
Switch Pro, yeah.
Like attach like a faster drive or something to it, or a faster graphics card, and be like, "Here you go."
It's annoying is they didn't even need to have to do that much.
No, they didn't.
It just needed to be just slightly better, not that much better, just slightly. Like, not doesn't have to do 4K like everyone was predicting.
No.
Like, that's just insane. But to be able to play Hyrule Warriors at anything other than 20 frames per second would be lovely.
That would be great, because that game and the frame rate on that game is pretty bad, and it's upsetting.
did kind of bring this up last week where we thought that the announcement of Switch OLED model was just underwhelming. And that's probably why they didn't announce any hardware announcements in their Nintendo Direct for E3. Because like a lot of people had great feedback. No, I think like they had everything ready and they were going to go, and everyone was suspecting they were going to announce the Switch Pro model. And then they said, no, we're going to keep it software only. And Nintendo Direct had a fantastic response at like for a lot of Nintendo fans, because launching Breath of the Wild 2, etc. Everyone was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is a great Nintendo event. And I'm like, I'm so glad you didn't announce your hardware at that event, because that would have just been like, oh, what a bummer. Like, so that's what we were discussing last week. Potentially, did they think this might go either way? Let's wait until after the E3.
I'm picturing watching the Nintendo E3 event where after they announced Metroid Dread and they were showing off the new stuff, and in the chats and those videos, like everyone was like, Nintendo wins E3. Nintendo, like they didn't show that much. Like, all right. I mean, they're good Nintendo games. I'm happy Metroid's coming back. We're all happy that there's another Breath of the Wild. But did they win? If they had dropped that trailer for the OLED model, they would have been like, boo.
Right? So it seems a little bit underwhelming. And maybe, Adam, you have a point. Maybe they did, like Valve, maybe they did actually come on the wings of that, being like, hey, the Switch OLED model is like really disappointing. Does anybody want to like ramp up production for this Steam Deck, and like let's put a trailer out now, and let's put an announcement.
I'm sure it's definitely maybe it's coming out at the end of the year, and I think that wasn't the initial plan, but the announcement of it just seems very timely. That whether or not maybe it wasn't ready for
is it a week after the OLED announcement?
Yeah.
And just because I have these like kind of questions that just seem a bit like, like the choice of games that they've chosen for it, it seems very like, even the hands-on that some of the people are having with it, like IGN and stuff, it just seems very structured and similar to the way Cyberpunk was handled in some ways. It just has me a little sus, that's all.
I had a question about this Steam Deck. I don't know if anyone knows it, but does the Steam Deck stream games?
I
didn't see that anywhere.
Probably can.
You probably can, but I would imagine you would have to install more software.
It was kind of
does come with like a Steam. It comes with your Steam OS, like Adam said before, and it's more just like, here's your access to your Steam library. Let's play, and you can hook it up. Whether
that was
you
one
can
of the
stream
first
from it, I'm not sure.
One of the first thoughts I had when I saw the trailers and the stuff, the advertising, all the marketing had, like, there's a person playing Control on their Steam Deck. Like, they're like, this is actual gameplay running on a prototype. And then all I could think about is how Nintendo had Control on the Switch, but only in stream form. Like, it only runs streaming on the Switch because the console itself can't handle actually playing the game.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
So that was one of my first thoughts. Is it streaming the game, or is it actually running
Imagine
the
you
game?
could. I don't know. Does Steam have... I know you can stream from your PC, but do Steam have a cloud-based streaming? I don't know if they have. Yeah. So likely it could be streaming from your home PC, maybe.
I did, though, when somebody... because I didn't actually see this on social media first. Somebody else had mentioned it in a group chat. And they said something like the Steam Deck, and I thought they made a mistake and they missed out the R for Elgato Stream Deck.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, oh no, it's just announced. Check out this article. And I was like, this is extremely close to an Elgato Stream Deck. Like,
if you type it into Google, it actually tries to correct you.
Auto-correct it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering why, like, they went with Steam Deck. Like, I wonder, like, how did they... Surely they must have been like, guys, it's very close to Stream Deck. Is this going to be an issue? And they were like, nah.
Right. That's actually what I was going to say. Because it's close.
Really?
That's why they went with it.
Like an association thing.
Well, this is the thing, like,
and also just
Elgato...
being kind of clever with the name as well.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I literally thought somebody was making a mistake. I was like, I was going to make a joke because they said something about a Steam Deck, and I was like, is it going to steam your clothes? And then somebody, thank God, put in a link after that, and I didn't make my joke, so I saved myself looking like a damn fool in that group chat.
I just pictured an episode of Trailer Talk or something happening where you make a joke before you know what it is you're talking about.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't know if I set myself up for a segue or not, but I also want to get more from Anthony here. Like, how have you been, sir? It's been a while since we've had on.
It's been a crazy year, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Lots, the world going spiraling.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm doing okay, as well as anyone is these days. But yeah, it's good to be back. I've missed this.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We're
happy to have you.
We were really happy to hear like you want to come on, and like we're always saying to people, like, if you want to come on, just let us know. And we got you on, sir, and we get to talk about a new Resident Evil game, if nothing else. Like, we got a new Resident Evil this year. Yes.
Did you see the delay of Reverse yesterday?
I did not see that, and that's very disappointing. Shit.
When was it supposed to come out?
It was announced originally. It was announced to come out alongside Village, and then it was announced to come out in July. But they never specified when in July, and now it's next year.
Next year, wow!
Oh wow, that's a big back.
That is a big delay. Wow.
Ouch.
But that's okay. Like,
sorry, catch us up on what Reverse is.
It was included free with Resident Evil Village. It's a third-person online versus game using existing Resident Evil assets, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You get to play as various human survivors, and then you have the ability to change into various Resident Evil creatures as well.
Yeah, I was hoping it would scratch that itch of like the old Resident Evil Outbreak games kind of thing. I would hope it pushes that similarity. I don't think it's going to do that because it looked more like it was it a PvP game, but there's zombies, so you're fighting the zombies while you're trying to kill each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, entirely PvP. I'm amazed I won't go too far into it, but I'm amazed there isn't some Resident Evil Outbreak thing underway, because every single comment that I've seen in regards to the delaying of Reverse is just like, cancel it and make Outbreak.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing.
Outbreak.
Yeah. This is a great opportunity for you guys to just stop what you're doing and make Outbreak instead.
How games work, but
yeah.
Like, I feel like that's something that I don't know why Capcom hasn't moved forward with a cooperative online Resident Evil game in that sense, with the grander scale than just the co-op that like Resident Evil 5 or 6 had, and actually being an Outbreak 2.0, and don't make it Left 4 Dead, make it Resident Evil, make it like you have to work together, you have to solve puzzles, you have to work, teamwork, but while fighting off hordes of zombies. Like, it could be very Resident Evil, and not, we don't want to just copy Left 4 Dead or something. Like, no, don't. I don't want another Left 4 Dead. I want Left 4 Dead.
The model actually is. Have you ever played the Resident Evil board game?
I've heard of it. I have not played it though.
It's fantastic, and you can have up to, I think it's up to 4 players. You can play in that one, but the way it works is that you're pretty much checking each room of the mansion. You have to get a specific item to unlock a specific door, etc. But you don't. All the little cards, I guess, are kind of turned over, so you don't know which is which. So you as players need to make the decision of whether you should split up or stay together, and to complete that. I think that kind of mechanic would work really, really well in that.
Yeah.
That kind of survival horror co-op.
Yeah, especially if they did it very, I would say, rogue-like, and made it like randomized everything, so you never know what you're gonna get. And it would change the experience every time you played, especially if it had that mechanic of, okay, if we stay together, we have better chances of surviving what we run into. But if we split up, it's faster to collect things. That if you had that mechanic and that balancing, I think that would be great.
Because that was one of the things as well. Is like the longer you take in the board game, for example, it would you have to roll the dice and things would spawn. And it's always, you don't know what would come after you, and obviously you want to try and get through as quick as you can. So yeah, there is that kind of against the clock mechanic to it as well.
Yeah, that actually sounds like the better missed opportunity online Resident Evil game. Capcom's been doing great these last few years. Like, I can't knock them for that. Like, they've really made a massive comeback in my mind as a fan of Capcom and the series that they own. Like, they knocked it out of the park with Devil May Cry 5. Resident Evil 7 was a massive surprise to me. Like, I did not think I was gonna like that game until I finally played it, and I was like, oh, this is different, but still really good in its own right. And then of course Resident Evil 2 Remake is it's a better version of one of my favorite games of all time, so I can't really complain. So I just want them
They're
to
doing
make...
good. What would you love to see next then, apart from just Outbreak?
I've been wanting them to do the remake of Code Veronica. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I want that too.
The true Resi tree?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Resident Evil 3, especially the way they remade Resident Evil 3. I loved it. I enjoyed the hell out of Resident Evil 3, but it's like, this is a different game. Especially with the new one, was like, you can beat that game so fast. It takes like 5 hours to get through it. And that's on like a first playthrough.
It was a strong narrative experience, but you lost a lot of the... Arguably, it was a better narrative experience than Resident Evil 2, but Resident Evil 2 is a more complete game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I like to think about one of my friends that I haven't seen for a while. I just saw him, last week, and he was talking about trying to go back and play the old Resident Evil, and he's like, I can't do it. The tank controls, the clunkiness. I'm like, that's my favorite part. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nothing
It's
like whipping
nostalgia.
out a PS1 classic and trying to play the director's cut of Resi is just...
I love it.
Yeah.
And then
brutal.
the Resident Evil remake is, again, one of the best horror games of all time, I think.
What's your favorite Resident Evil game then?
For me, it's still 2, hands down. It's always 2.
2 is in the remake or the original?
The original Resident Evil 2. It was one of the first games on PlayStation I ever played. It was the thing that made me stay, or I was like a hardcore Nintendo fanboy as a kid. And then I saw Resident Evil 2 at a friend's house, and I went, I need a PlayStation.
I see.
And then Resident Evil 2 came out on Nintendo 64 the next year. So,
with green blood?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I know Nintendo did censor a lot of their games though for a while. I still love the fact that Resident Evil 0 was supposed to be a Nintendo 64 exclusive.
A 64 exclusive?
Yes. You can find videos online. There's in-game models and play sessions of people playing 0 on the 64 with Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 style graphics.
Jeez.
Wow.
So when did they plan the development of that? Because it became a GameCube, right?
Yes.
It became a GameCube exclusive for a while.
Yeah.
So did they just scrap and start again?
Yeah, I watched something that explained what happened, because back then Capcom signed a deal with Nintendo to make 3 exclusive games for Nintendo platforms. One of which was 0, the other was Beautiful Joe, and I forget what the third one was off the top of my head now. But I think there was something with 0 where something to do with the timing of when it was going to come out and when the GameCube was scheduled to release, that they ended up pushing it back, and then they just redid the whole thing using the remake engine.
Oh yeah,
because then it came out after remake.
And did both of them come out before 4?
Was it? Yeah, they were both before 4. 4 came out right after that. It was like bang, bang, bang.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
I just like the true Resident Evil 3 was Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
I mean, the history of those games is just insane.
Oh yeah.
Was that 3 or 4? That one, because it's the same creator, isn't it? Of 4. It
was supposed to be Resident Evil 3 was Devil May Cry basically.
Okay.
But then they released Resident Evil 3, which was going to be called, I think it was going to be called Resident Evil Nemesis or Resident Evil Desperate Escape, depending on the country. And then because they wanted another installment, they kind of, to legitimize it, they added 3. So Devil May Cry then became the official Resident Evil 4. And then they eventually decided that it was far too different to be Resident Evil 4. So
yeah, this
funny how it turns out.
I'm looking at Pagan. She's mad Googling over there. Like, I don't know any of this.
I don't know any of what you're talking about.
I remember that though too. Like the whole thing with Devil May Cry was them developing like melee combat to play in a Resident Evil game, and then it got more and more faster paced and actionful, and they're like, okay, this is becoming its own separate thing. I think there was a video you could find of Dante's original character model was Leon or something like that.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine if they actually did release that as the next installment in Resident Evil? Like,
I would have been like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it would have. You would have not have had a great series like Devil May Cry,
Mhm.
but it would have ruined a great series like Resident Evil. It's so funny how like a great game like that, but titled incorrectly, could just ruin two franchises essentially. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
I think the first time I played Devil May Cry, I think it's Code Veronica has a demo disc for this in it. And I was like, what's this Devil May Cry game? And I played the demo probably a million times. And I was like, this is amazing.
If I was in the other room, I would now pull out my copy of Code Veronica with the demo disc.
Oh, I have that right here.
See, oh my god, it's like, yeah.
Here you are. Devil May Cry. I did this last time I was on too, where I'm like, I got games with demo disc. That's great.
I know.
It was Zone of the Enders, which is still sitting here.
Wait, so what was Adam and Anthony's favorite Resident Evil game then?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think mine is probably it's either 2 or 3. I think it's 2. Original 2.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
2
assume
or 2?
original unless you say remake, so.
Adam?
Mine is 4. Purely because I was too shit scared of Resident Evil until 4. 4 would have been the first one that kind of was approachable for me. So because of that, and it's actually very close to Metal Gear in many ways, which is like my favorite game of all time. You know, you've got essentially the codec in it.
I believe you.
I've
never thought of it that way, but I think that's absolutely a great comparison. Like you said, the codec. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely in terms of the boss characters in it as well, the way they just kind of are totally intertwined into the main story. And just, I think that is probably the most badass protagonist in the Resident Evil series. I know Leon's in them throughout, but that is the pinnacle Leon in my eyes.
Even still, like 4 solidified Leon as one of the main heroes of the franchise.
Yeah.
Because he's been in so much since then, and now like he's in all the animated movies, he's back in the new animated show. If it wasn't for 4, he probably wouldn't have made such a big comeback.
I agree, yeah, and it's nice to see that guy. I like that the direction that they took with his design, where they didn't want this big macho dude, like the way Chris Redfield is in 5 is just a little bit comical and over the top, where he was just really sleek and he just looked like a secret agent, didn't he?
Best line in all of Resident Evil Village. Do you know what I'm talking about, Anthony?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they make a joke about they reference Chris punching boulders in Village, and I'm like, that's great. And I love that the merchant references the merchant from 4 too.
Yeah.
Like that to me, it was immediate. Like, this is great.
Adam picked that up too.
Yeah.
Really interested to see what DLC we get for Village at some point, because they're working on it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm honestly hoping, and I know this is like hope against hope, but I'm hoping that there would be more of Lady D. I think that like those
it has to be, right?
Like,
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, the castle has been like people's favorite parts of that game, and it's like it's the very beginning and it's over so quickly. So I'm hoping, because it's such a fan, like so many people are so enthusiastic about this, that like Lady D has quickly become one of the most identifiable characters in the series, and a lot of people, like a lot of fan favorites as well. So I hope that any DLC for it would
focus around her. It'd be great if they did a DLC of her like creating her daughters or something like that.
So
or even isn't there a letter in the house or something where he's like, they keep saying that they're going to toy with me or drink my blood or eat me or something like that. Play as that guy.
Yeah, it's
the guy
it's
writing those letters.
It's one of the maidens.
That
was a maid.
It could be the maiden demo just gets expanded into a full DLC or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll pay for that.
Right, me too.
I think it's smart that you're saying Lady D. Like, I'm just gonna say Lady D instead
Lady D. Lady Dimitrescu.
Don't risk it.
Dimitrescu.
Well, you see, the problem is like in the game they refer to her as Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
And we have all been corrected, especially like when we did it on Trailer Talk, that Dimitrescu is technically how it's supposed to be pronounced, because it is Bulgarian. I want to say somebody from Bulgaria anyway, like commented on the YouTube channel. They were like, "Hey, if you're going to use an Eastern European name, please pronounce it correctly." It is, and they spelled it phonetically as Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu, yeah.
So I was like, cool. But at the same time, it's a surname. And there's so many people who pronounce their own surname differently. So
yeah, I can relate to that. I don't even know if I pronounce my own surname right. Is it Pavia? Is it Pavois? I don't know.
I feel like it is Pavier because Pavois would be Voir or Vouir. So the I would be towards the end.
Oh, the way they're getting
From
hung
what
up
I know
on
of like the voir in French.
The Wa.
They're getting hung up on the surname and not the fact that anyone has an accent that's nowhere in that region.
I know. It's so random in every single gameplay I've seen as well. And even when I was playing it for the first time, because I hadn't watched anything before I played it, I was like, why are y'all American? Like, where did this come from? Why are we all from America? And we're just in the slap dab of like Europe, Eastern Europe, somewhere.
I'd love to know the reason for that, because that used to always annoy me with MGS3. And I know they kind of have a reason for it, but I don't buy it. And it's like they're supposed to be in the middle of Russia, yet they all have American accents.
Right.
I know that it was discussed
the hell out
in
of me.
Village.
Really?
In the process, they discussed whether or not to do accents, and they eventually decided not to. But I'm not sure why they decided.
The only thing that I could think of why they wouldn't is they would all be doing a different accent. So like there wouldn't be like a universal Eastern European accent, right? Like a lot of people would be doing close to Russian, a lot of people would be doing close to maybe French. So there would be inconsistency. So that's the only reason why I would think that's why they avoided those accents, is rather to be a consistent American accent, because there wasn't anything wild in there. It wasn't like New York or
So I felt Heisenberg
Heisenberg was a little
wasn't
bit
quite identifiable. He kind of had like a not as strong as Peter Stormare, but like a little bit, where it's like I can't quite get where you're
exactly
from.
What you mean.
Yeah. He almost seemed like he had a bit of like a southern twang, kind of.
But
like you can't nail it down. It's like, okay, there's ways that he says certain words and phrases that it kind of goes there, and then it doesn't, and you're like, oh no,
also,
okay, no.
Wasn't Lady D English?
Yeah, she has an English accent. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe then the inconsistency comment is out the window, because they are completely inconsistent.
Well, no, they are inconsistent. It's
but they're not European.
They're so inconsistent with their inconsistency.
There you go. You don't have to worry about it at that point.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I think what's more interesting is like a week after I played through the Village, we were watching this Mysteries at the Museum or some reality show that talks about like real life things, and it like goes into the history and the details about it. Super fascinating stuff. Mm-hmm. But literally a week after I finished the game, one of them came up and it was talking about this woman who lived in the Middle East somewhere, like Bavaria, somewhere over there, some Middle Eastern area. And she came into inheritance of a castle. And then she became known as this mistress of the castle. And she had all these female servants that she like abused and tormented. And I'm like, is this the real life Lady D that they based this game on, or the character on? And I'm like, it had to have been. Like, it was this whole legend and mythos about this character, this woman who lived and essentially tortured young women. And it's, if you compare the two, it's like they're 1-1 essentially. Like they were thinking she could have been a vampire, but it was there's a lot of legend though. It's a lot of legend. It's a lot of, false history kind of stuff going on there, but I thought that was great.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, good point,
Fun
Anthony.
stuff.
I'm also excited to see what they're going to bring for DLC for Village.
Do you think they were working on I can imagine that they were working on one DLC and then decided that, oh shit, we got to get our shit together and get this all on Lady Dimitrescu now.
Honestly, I feel like they were probably looking at a DLC and online, and that's probably why they have to push one over the other. They're like,
there you go. There's your answer. That's why Reverse was pushed back.
Well,
that makes a lot of sense.
This is a theory. It's a theory that they were like, okay, you know what? Let's push back the online and we'll focus on online later, and where we can actually just like work really hard, get the DLC out for Resident Evil 8, and then go into online when we can actually have time to figure things out. And I'm sure there could still be COVID restrictions that are also messing them up there.
Oh, for sure.
The COVID.
The COVID.
The COVID.
Oh, the COVID.
The COVID.
the old COVID. Anyways, we're getting a little long on time here. Fun tangents, good tangents. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Do we want to touch base on some trailer talk this week? Which
I don't mind if you're short for time. We don't have to, but
no rush. I was just trying to segue without a good segue. So
that's fair.
I did not watch trailer talk. I was a little busy. So it's gonna be on Pagan.
I'm pretty sure though you were. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the first person that told us about the Val Kilmer documentary. Remember? Were we in a group chat? Were we on the podcast? I don't know. I feel like you said that there was going to be a Val Kilmer movie, and I'm pretty sure my response was, "What do we need a Val Kilmer movie for?" And then I watched this trailer, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, take
Val
everything
Kilmer
back.
was
I'm so sorry.
badass for a long time. So
yeah, he's unreal. But I didn't see why we would need a film about him. And then I saw the trailer and what the film is, and I'm wholly appreciative of what this is. Like, this is a piece of like cinema that will have documentation from like when handheld cameras were first created, basically, because he was like, oh my god, I have to get one. Like, it's now publicly available, I have to have one. And even Kevin Bacon is in the trailer being like, oh, that's cool, you got a video camera. Like, that's wild. Like, I think that's so cool.
I guess without context, the notion of like this actor is making a documentary about themselves is a bit self-aggrandizing,
right?
So kind of with the specific circumstances of Val Kilmer, it makes a bit more sense, and be able to see the history of his time in Hollywood is going to be pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of looks like those. I was listening to the Friendship Onion podcast. If you ever heard that one, Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd were talking to Elijah Wood about they used to capture. Like, they'd have photographs of their time on the Lord of the Rings sets, and they'd have a computer. Just the first time it was like when digital cameras were a thing, and he would have all their photos put onto their laptops. And both Elijah Wood and Dominic's laptops were stolen, so they lost all their photos of the times that they were on. But it's kind of that thing where it's Val's time making movies and just capturing the behind the scenes, and it kind of has like a rock and roll kind of vibe to it too. There's it's a kind of a pity that others didn't think of doing that. There's so many actors out there that you would love to see. I'd love to see Ian McKellen's documenting his life on set of all the different movies he was on and stuff like that. It looks really interesting, really unique. It's odd that it took this long to get something like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a good time as well, because I think like when he was diagnosed with cancer is when he started putting this all together. And then he's obviously had his operations and third, and I think he's still undergoing treatment. What is absolutely just insane for me to just comprehend is the narration on this movie is by his son. That sounds exactly like him. Exactly like Val Kilmer, because at the in the trailer, like when we were talking about trailer talk, I was like, how is he narrating this? Because he actually speaks through like a
voice box now.
And it's it's permanently covered, and it's completely changed him and who he is and how he's going to perform. But here he is like talking in this narration being like, when I was younger and when I was and I was like, how the fuck did you preemptively do this? And then realized it's his son.
That's interesting.
So super fascinating. And he is still being cast as well. Val Kilmer has projects coming up. In other projects, other films, movies, TVs and stuff. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this whole thing has affected his performance. And then are they going to do ADR with his son? Are they just going to write it into, like, he's got a cameo in Top Gun. In Maverick. So like, how is this going to change? And I think getting context
I'm wondering about the timing
his life
on that.
now is going to be interesting.
The new Top Gun movie was supposed to come out like a year ago, wasn't it?
It was supposed to come out last year around New Year's.
Because I remember trailers for the new Top Gun movie coming out back when we started the podcast, and like there was a lot of talk about them playing Top Gun on Retro Replay.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, there's a new Top Gun movie coming out, And
I'd scheduled all of that, Dan. And then they're like, oh, let's just, because it was also Free Guy as well. And I was like, oh, this is great. We could play something cool. and then Free Guy got pushed, and then so did Maverick, and then so did Black Widow, and everything. And I was like, God damn it, everything's getting pushed.
Yeah, Free
Wild.
Guy.
Ruining
I
my
forgot about
content.
that. I remember seeing trailers for Free Guy in the theaters like 2 years ago.
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
So they had all, especially Top Gun as well, had been due to release last year, but they pushed it.
Oh, that's right. I can go watch Space Jam. Let's go. Bye.
Oh,
no, I'm
bye.
kidding. No, I just remember like Space Jam's on HBO Max now.
Ah, I see.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So, I mean, like, are you guys gonna go see that? You saw Trailer Talk, Anthony. What did you think?
I thought it was really interesting. I'm eager to watch it. I'm hoping that it will be very honest about his experience and not kind of rose-colored glasses. But I think it's interesting to kind of have that long of a history in an industry to be able to look back on and see how it's changed and your involvement with it's changed and how your life has changed in regards to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm pretty interested in it.
Was this Trailer Talk live?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys bring any replayers on for it?
We had waited, but nobody had come in. But I believe there was technical difficulties. There was a replayer who reached out to say that they had tried to come in, but it didn't work. So
that's too bad.
Unfortunately, not this time, but next week when we're coming back live, potentially, given schedules are all aligning, we're gonna try and see can we help with like sort those out. But no replayer guests this week. Yeah, I think, Anthony, though, I think it's not going to be that kind of rose-colored glasses view on Hollywood and his experience. I think from the trailer, anyway, that's my perception, that he's going to really be very honest about this. And what Drew had mentioned in Trailer Talk, going to be showing you parts that he had pitched for that he didn't get. So, like, I think there's, like, almost like a self-tape or a pitch for Platoon. There's, like, stuff in there, Heat, things like that he actually never ended up getting. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I'm wondering now, is he going to show us like behind the scenes processes of all that? There was another particularly controversial film or something like that he was involved in. Drew will be able to comment whatever that was. But there was a film that there was kind of like mistreatment or something like that, or like arguments going on behind the scenes.
Island of Dr. Monroe, right?
That's it. Yes.
Oh, it's a dreadful movie.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for paying attention.
I remember that movie.
Saving my butt. Yeah. So apparently there was a lot of controversy in the back of that. Like there was a lot of arguments and stuff, and he was filming during that. So we're interested to see like what's gonna surface from
where's
this.
The good, the juicy tea. Yeah, the juicy stuff.
Yeah. This is exciting. This looks very exciting. Very interesting.
I need to watch the trailer for Val, and then I'll watch the Trailer Talk. I like to do that. I'll watch the trailer separately.
Trailer first, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say though, like I did tear up when I watched it because it just looks heartbreaking, and to have pretty much like your vocal cords have been ripped from you in a way that you can express yourself. Like it's your livelihood, right? Like acting and stuff like that is heavily reliant on your vocal cords. It's not the only part, let's face it. Like there's a lot of parts that are mostly just facial expressions or body language, and that's fantastic. But like especially coming from theater and projecting and stuff, and having that like completely taken away from you, God, that must have been devastating. It hasn't messed his career. He is still getting parts and roles because he's Val Kilmer, right? But I'm so interested to see this process because that must have been really hard.
So it's an interesting kind of retrospective on a life in a sense. I mean, he's not passed or anything, but to his going forward of his involvement in the industry will be different. I think before I knew he had cancer, I was listening to a review of the film The Snowman. I think the one with Michael Fassbender, and there was someone had mentioned that he's in it, but all his speaking lines, his back is to the camera. Which I never really, now that I'm thinking about it now, that makes sense in retrospect. But at the time, it just seemed like a weird thing to pick up on.
Interesting. And that's why I think potentially they're using his son for ADR. Because he also is wearing scarves in his new films, like in Maverick and stuff like that. I think he's, you can see him in the trailer, I think, and he has got a scarf on. Or something to cover his neck.
It's fortunate that his son happens to sound a lot like him.
Unbelievable. Honestly, when you watch the trailer, that blew my mind because I was like, I'm pretty sure he must have done this like before he had surgery or something, and then like filmed all of his audio, his voiceover, and then just edited towards it, or like did multiple takes or something. And then Drew was like, no, I think it's his son. I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. Yeah, and it sounds so much like him. So yeah, it looks like a really interesting an interesting project. I'm excited to see it.
Definitely need to check that out. Yeah, I think that's gonna just about do it for us this week. There was no retro replay to speak of this week, unfortunately. They had planned an Uncle Noli, but I guess, or was it gonna be a live stream?
It was gonna be a live stream, yeah, but unfortunately,
they couldn't.
One's a busy man.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he's got a lot to do.
How dare he have a job?
How dare he? Damn you.
Damn it.
Anyways, but yeah, this is a great talk and catching up with some old replayer guests that we haven't had on in a while. I mean that in the best of sense.
What are you implying?
Old replayers. Yeah, I'm the oldest replayer here, so
that's true.
I'm 78. No one else has worried about. Thank you. That's right. Keep it tight.
What are your secrets?
I stay indoors. I play lots of Xbox.
That's it. Yeah, just no sunlight.
Exactly.
He's preserved himself in the AC.
Like a mummy.
Just keeps it always cooler than it should be, just so that he's preserving his skin.
I'm expecting kind of like a American Psycho style morning routine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, like I spend every day. I wake up and I put on 10 layers of lotion and moisturizer, and then I chase people with chainsaws and screaming.
Whatever works. Whatever works. If you gotta chase people with chainsaws, so if that good at
so can you try that without the lotion and see if it still works? Because I find the chainsaw bit just a little bit easier.
All you gotta do is bathe in the virgin's blood afterwards. That's all.
Whoa.
Well, that took a turn.
American Psycho, come on.
That escalated quickly.
Why don't we get your socials and anything else you guys want to share about yourselves, and we'll close out the show for this evening. Let's kick it off with you, Adam. You've got a podcast yourself?
I do have a podcast. The Brothers Take, if you want to listen to more of my shite.
Your shite?
My shite. We're on YouTube as well as, I suppose, whatever podcast service you want. Our Twitter then is at the Brothers Take. We're also on Instagram as well.
Nice. Nothing for personal.
Oh, you could if you really wanted to. It's at Twitter would be at Harbinger926.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which your name, your Twitter profile name shows up in our credits every week because you did our artwork. So
yes, it's true.
Oh, there you go. So just there it is.
Yeah, there it is. And Anthony, what you got?
I think I'm on Instagram and Twitter as the Ant-Man Cometh. I occasionally make game posters. The quality ranges. Yeah, you can find it on there.
Can confirm awesome. It's the Ant-Man Cometh.
You can confirm. It's pagan.
Well, you can find me at Pagan Plays on Twitter and at Pagan_Plays on Twitch and Instagram.
Sweet. And of course, I am Stark Evil Vash, which has been the handle I've had for fucking 19 years at this point. So that's where I'm sticking with it. Stark Evil Vash on any platform you might look for me. Upset for the Twitters. That's where I am. Stark E Vash, StarkyVash. And I love that movie enough. I'm going to keep making that joke every single time.
I feel like you should clip in the why from Drew Carey.
I've done it. I have clipped it in before. There's especially in the olden days when I was real try hard on the YouTube. I clipped in like the GIF of the over it. So, but yeah, that'll do it for us this week, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. If you want to reach out to us, if you want to join us on the show, like these fine gentlemen, you can email us at thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com. Yes. If you have any questions or concerns, you can also reach us there. Or if you want to reach out to Pagan about stuff for Retro Replay, you can reach her at members@retroreplay.com.
You can also join us on Trailer Talk Live. It is a members only perk. So if you do want to join up, you can go over to Retro Replay on YouTube and click on the membership tab, and that will show you every tier that we have available. If you want to join us on Trailer Talk Live and discuss something or share your thoughts, it's open to all members. So feel free to click in and join. And if you have any questions, members@retroreplayshow.com.
It's real fun. Should do it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, with that, it's game over. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Bye.